do a short little video for Jim Rizzoli. He was talking about, yeah, I'm a truck driver. I've been a truck driver for 8 years. I've had my CDL since 2017, and I went through like all the like real training. I went to a truck driving school through a big company, so the training, like, you couldn't fudge anything. You couldn't pay off the person that does the test. I mean, I've known people that did that. I know a lot of people from Eastern Europe that's how they got their licenses. Is they would pay off the facilitators, and this is all over the place. I mean, you name the state, this was going on. I don't know if it's happening now. I would never do that because I don't have the balls to get into a semi truck like when I first started and just drive and not know how to do all the things you need to do. Like, I can't tell you how many times I had to back up for people at a truck stop. Like, the hardest thing with trucking, in my opinion, is backing. I think they should do an extra 3 weeks in truck driving school of just backing, of pulling into places and learning how to back your semi truck up. And I've had, like, there was a black dude from Africa one time, and he pulled into, I was in Maryland, and he pulled in, and he couldn't back up. He did not know how to back up. Like, he shouldn't, like, driving forward on, flat road isn't that hard. The hard part is learning how to drive downhill with a full load and not burn out your brakes or be going too fast. I mean, I'm really good at that. Driving in bad weather and driving downhill with 80,000 pounds. But this black dude from Africa pulls in, and he can't back into a spot, and he's flipping out like he's outside of his truck. He's all, I'm going, I can't do this. He's like flipping out like that, right? And he goes over and he starts pushing on someone's side view mirror on the semi truck, like some dude's sleeping, right? Like trying to break his mirror. And I'm thinking, man, if he did that to mine, I would jump out and put tips on him. Like, tips mean, like, I'm gonna put tips means beat his ass. And I'm watching this dude, right? I should have recorded it, but I was just watching this guy flip out. And I know where he's coming from. Like, truck driving's it's the hardest job in the world, especially when you're just starting out. So I jump out, right? And I go, hey, homeboy. He's like, go away! I flip it out. And I'm like, do you want me to back up your truck? And he stops flipping out and he goes, yes, please, yes, please. So I back his truck in. And he could barely speak English. And I had some other guys from Africa. And they stopped. Like, I'm driving through a rest area. And they're in front of me. And they just stop. Right? And I luckily had enough room to get around them. But barely. Like, literally inches. And I'm like, what are these guys doing? And they two guys jump out to change drivers. Because they were team drivers. And I go, what are you guys doing? And the African guy goes, he could barely speak English. He goes, we stopped to change drivers. All you have to do is wait for 15 minutes. And I'm like, wait? I'm like, dude, you can't just stop the flow of traffic. We're in a rest area, but he could have pulled off the side of the road. And I'm trying to explain to this dude, you can't stop your truck in front. Like, if you're in front of somebody and wherever you're at, you can't just stop and decide that's where you're going to take your break and everybody behind you just has to wait. And I realize he's not going to he can't comprehend that. And he goes, no, you just have to wait. It's okay. He was nice about it. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm ready to jump out and get into a fight with this guy, right? And I'm like, he doesn't think there's anything wrong with that. Right? Like, to him, that's normal. The whole world has to stop for him in his driver to change shifts. You know what I mean? And it's a 15-minute ordeal. So I luckily had room to pass him, and it's I mean, I got to sit and write things out, but it's crazy. And then you go and get gas, and all the foreigners, and I'm a foreigner. I'm from Lithuania, so I'm not knocking anybody that came here from another country, but the people that, a lot of the Pajits, and they're kind of the worst at it. In Americans, kind like not so much, but the Pajits and a lot of Hispanics, they'll pull into the fuel aisles to get fuel, and then they'll just leave their truck and go inside and not even be pumping gas yet, and there's people behind them. And after you get gas, you can pull forward and then go into the store, or you could go and park your truck, right? So you're not blocking people behind you. And I've seen people for like 30 minutes leave their trucks, and you'll go and talk to these people and be like, hey, homeboy, I'm behind you. You left your truck here for 30 minutes. What the fuck are you doing? And they're like, oh, I had to go into the store to get something. And then you're like, can you fucking move? And they're like, after I get gas. And they hadn't even gotten gas yet. And you're just like, so like in my younger days, that was shit that would get you beat up. Like when I'm a Generation X. I was born in 79. When I was coming up, if you did something stupid like that, or you talked back to somebody, you'd get into a fist fight. You know what I mean? Like it was normal to duke it out all the time. Like in my culture, that's how you handled problems. And I had a Pajit not too long ago. He just walks right in front of me to the counter. Cuts right in front of me. In the whole line. And I checked his ass, dude. I said, hey, homeboy, you're just going to cut right in front of me? And he looked at me like he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, you either get behind me at the end of this line, or me and you are going to fight. It's your choice. And he was just like, he couldn't believe that I was confronting him and telling him the end result is going to be a fist fight with me outside. Get the fuck behind me, motherfucker. And then he's on the phone with somebody. And he was just like, we kind of started arguing. 20 years ago, I would have beat his ass, but you can't. There's cameras. And what was interesting to me is me and this guy are talking shit to each other, me more than him, but he didn't see anything wrong with what he did. And I'm telling him, bro, we don't do that here in this country. You don't walk in front of a line. Most people, like all these idiots behind us that let you, they won't say anything. I'm going to say something, and I'm going to beat your ass. So he finally goes to the back of the line, and but it was just interesting because he didn't see anything wrong with that. And I try to avoid confrontation, but sometimes it's impossible to do. And that was the main thing I got in trouble for, was fist fighting. I went to prison for it in 2003, and it was a stand your ground self-defense thing. I had some dude come and confront me, and then I walked away from him, and he still pursued me, and he ended up getting his jaw broke. And I took it to a jury trial and lost. And this was an American dude, but you got all these laws, and they don't even acknowledge it. Like, they didn't even allow me to raise that point, like self-defense and stand your ground, because at the very beginning, my public defender, who works for the state, didn't raise that issue, and then so I couldn't use it anymore. And but it's just interesting how it doesn't matter if they're foreigners or they're Americans, or if you get into, like, I know this because I did a jury trial. They don't want any people of color on your jury if you have I was fighting a battery with serious bodily injury, and any man with testicles in his nutsack would have looked at my case and been like, oh, he was defending himself. It was a man standing his ground, and they made sure there were no black people on my jury, because there was some, blacks are tougher in our society than most people. In the black culture, a one-on-one fist fight isn't a big deal. And if you have a jury, 2 or 3 black dudes on a jury, and they hear a story of someone pursuing you and confronting you, and you walk away and they still pursue you and confront you and you fucking knock the shit out of them, that's okay in their culture. And that's how it was in my culture, in growing up kind of in the gypsy culture. And it's just everything in our system is so fucked up, and nobody will say the reason why all this bad shit's happening, whether it's in trucking or the government or EBT, is because they want it to happen and they set it up to happen. Problem, reaction, solution. In truck driving, they want to put cameras. I accidentally said forward facing. They're rear facing. They face you like you're on camera all fucking day, right? They want to do all kinds of shit to truckers like me. I'm a safe driver. I took, like, I'm all legit. I don't fuck around on the road. But you bring in people, like, especially the Pajits. This is what I don't like about the Pajits. They come from a country to where they haven't, look it up, they have a caste system. You got to know about people before you make your opinion about, we're all equal. Yeah, we're all equal on a human level, but, like, there's certain countries that people come from, even in Eastern Europe, where I'm from, to where, it's backwards. And those people from that part of the world, no matter what fucking color their skin is, they're going to be doing some backwards shit in a country that's hippy-dippy progressive. In the Pajits in India, they have a caste system. So there's 5 different, basically, races, they say. They're, I don't think they are, but so the lower you are on this totem pole, of this racial totem pole, I mean, this is real racism. And I've heard stories, will not even help. Like, if you're at the bottom of the caste system or not at the top, and you're a little 6-year-old child and you're dying of whatever, they'll leave you dying on the streets because, 1, you're lower caste, and number 2, they believe in a karma system, and they actually believe that 6-year-old that's dying on the streets of cancer deserves what's happening to them because of their karma. And if you touch them and you try to help them, their karma will transfer over to you. Some fucking crazy shit. So they come here and they have that belief. Like I said, some of those Indians, and I had a homeboy, Jerry, was my best friend. He was a Indian from England, so he wasn't like he didn't wear the fucking head thing and all that stuff. So, but what you're seeing is they have this caste system, and they don't even like their own people, let alone the countries they go into. That's why I believe they litter and do all kinds of crazy ass shit. And yeah, I saw on YouTube somebody wrote on the side of somebody's trailer in big words, it says, "Deport this raghead." He's like driving his truck and his trailer's got spray paint. It says, "Deport this raghead." But that's I've heard from the Sikh people that the Indians, and I guess that's different, that the Indians they drink on the job. Like, they're always like, they'll have beer and vodka and, like, it's just a fucked up culture. But don't get it twisted and think that a lily white American company is any better than all these other companies. They're just different based on their culture and their background and their religions. Like, all your religion, your culture, your background, all these things play a big role in your character. Okay. So don't think that some lily white, red, white, and blue American company, we love America, go Trump. Don't think they're any better than the Pajit companies or a Russian company or a Slovenian company. At the end of the day, the trucking company's main job is to fuck you, the driver, who keeps the whole industry going in a company afloat. Lie to you, steal from you, hustle you. But they do it in different ways that are accustomed to their cultures and their beliefs and their background, and that plays a big part in it. So you'll get a lot of these lily white American people that act like their shit doesn't stink. The worst companies I ever worked for were American red, white, and blue companies. Americans, fucking Americans. You know what I mean? And the best guy I worked for, he ended up fucking me. And I'll tell you the story. Was a Pakistani Muslim dude. I worked for him for a long time. He ended up burning me. He fell into the. He started. The system started to change all these things, and truckers were getting fucked over and losing their businesses. And he burned me out of some money. He's paying me back now $150 a week. And but like I said, he was a Muslim dude, and I worked for him, and I had no, like, at the beginning for like the first 5 years, this guy and I, we definitely had cultural differences, and I would flip out, and but at the end of the day, all of these trucking companies, whether they're from fucking India or Russia, or at the end of the day, they all, especially the American companies, those have been the worst ones that I have worked for in terms of the lying and conniving and the bullshit. The other companies I mentioned, especially like Russians and Pajits and those companies, they're not as safe as the American companies in terms of keeping your truck, in good condition so you don't get into any wrecks. And it's a cold fucking world. And at the end of the day, the reason why everything is so fucked up is because the sick, creepy goddamn bastards in suits and ties that rule over us for another group of that rules over them set the dominoes up so they could come in and have them knocked down and reconfigure everything to their way. They want to put cameras facing drivers. They want to fucking do all kinds of bullshit to fuck you over. And then all these companies pass all these problems on to you, the driver. The driver's the most important fucking guy on the road. And it's, where I'm in California, it's a known thing that if you see guardrails fucked up or crazy accidents or crazy stories, it's more than likely going to be a Pajit that did it. And I don't know if that's race. I'm not trying to be racist. I hate racism. However, you have to be racially fucking aware in this world. I have some cultural differences. I have some cultural things and ethnic things, I'm a weird fucking mix, you know what I mean? I'm fucking a Lithuanian Jew, Italian mixed with some gypsy, and I grew up mostly in a gypsy culture. In how I do things and my behavior and beliefs, it has a lot to do with my race, religion, culture, etc. And that plays a role in this world we live in, and you have to be racially aware, not to be a racist, but to figure out how to deal with people, And but don't get it twisted. Don't think that the white people with their American flags and cowboy up, those are, to me, those are the people I've had the worst problems with. And I've had people. I had a white American company. The guy challenges me to a fight, right? A dispatcher. I'm like, all right, when I get back. I come back, they have the cops waiting for me. You know what I mean? Just like, and they were doing some shady ass shit. They were fucking me over. They were like, trucking, I can make videos and I'll go into it more in the future. There needs to be a lot of changes to the way things are set up that have to do with the driver before they start with anything else. All right. And secondly, they need to fix the fucking roads. All right. You have no idea how dangerous those roads are. There's fucking potholes in that road big enough to swallow a Volkswagen. And they got semi-trucks. So there are a lot of problems in trucking, but don't think that a Russian company is any worse than an American company, meaning the ethnicity of people, or that a Pajit company is any worse than a lily white Texan company with cowboy up. At the end of the day, they're all pieces of shit. They lie, cheat, and steal, and their main attack, their main assault is on the driver. The drivers get fucked over, and in the Pajit culture, I'm not giving the Pajit drivers that are causing all these problems a pass, but look into the caste system. They get treated like shit by their own people. You know what I mean? There's no loyalty in this fucking game. You know what I mean? So. Anyways, yeah, that's a fucking long video. Oh yeah, I'm just doing this for Jim because I love Jim. Jim, I love you. Mwah. Jim was saying, why did Gypsy Fox tell people he's Jewish? Because if I didn't tell people I'm Jewish, I used to be pretty big on the internet, like on YouTube and stuff. I used to do paranormal, and like I had a big following. And then people, if people were to see my videos, especially my background being, you know, a street guy and in prison and stuff, people would call me out for not telling people that I was Jewish. Everyone that knows me knows I'm Jewish. And so I just tell people as like a disclaimer, you know, before you fall in love with me, before you hate me, before you, whatever it is, if you find out I'm Jewish and I've never told anybody that, you're not going to respect me. You know what I mean? And I have my foot in that world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Jewish, but I'm also some other things. And that also plays a role in the culmination of what makes Gypsy Fox tick. But I understand what Jim's saying. But anyways, yeah. Oh yeah, and another thing I was gonna say about trucking. I've been trucking for 8 years. I have like a perfect driving record. If you are, your number one job is safety, right, on the road, and especially if you have a child, you take that serious. And then it's your safety. You know, drive slow. And don't let people put you in a position to where, you know, you have to drive fast. You're in a fucking big, huge semi-truck. They have you doing these electronic logbooks to where you're taking your attention off the road. It's to take away work from the dispatcher that should be doing the shit that you're doing on your logbook. The bottom line is they need to slow down, and they need to change delivery appointment type of things, because when you pick up that load and you're getting ready to get on that road, that day shouldn't count. So everything should be moved out an extra day. And you would see fucking all these, you would see 80% of all these problems stop if the driver had enough fucking time to make it to his delivery. They set the pickup and deliveries like they're doing it on Google Maps. And when you're in a semi-truck, you can't do Google Maps per se. You can to an extent, like if you're in a city and you got to know where you're going, you have to do a semi-truck GPS, because it's going to take you a lot longer, because you have to go different routes. You have to do trucking routes. And when you go to pick up your load, they have it set up to where if your load is supposed to be picked up at 2 p.m., right, they have it set up and calculated that you're going to be leaving and done and ready and on the road at 2 p.m. And you might not get out of there until 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., right? And now you're fucking already behind the 8 ball. It's just, it's a fuck game. And all they would have to do is fix appointment times, give people enough time to safely get to where they need to go. They need to fix the fucking roads. They need to make universal laws all across the board and enforce them on everybody. If you are non-white in the trucking industry, you get more leniency than the white companies, and that falls for, you know, the Russians and everything. They don't go after those companies like they do the white companies. It's just how it is. You know, maybe that'll change someday. You know, it will probably change someday. You'll see throughout life they change the problem of whatever race as they go, as they want to cause problems, reactions, solutions. So right now the white people's the whipping boy. That could change like that. The blacks could be the whipping boy. The Pajeets could be the whipping boy. Right now the Pajeets are the whipping boy, right? And everybody's against the Pajeets, and I get it. But when you look at the amount of Pajeets that are driving and the problems that are happening on the road, it's like, you know, 0.0000001. You know what I mean? And remember, the government and the system is the one that are causing these problems. They know. They have fucking think tanks that put all these laws together. It's just like when they they go, you have freedom of speech, and then you go and exercise it, and then you get arrested. You're like, what am I arrested for? Disorderly conduct, right? They know what they're doing. They have everything set up to where they can fuck you when they want to fuck you. They can cause problems when they want to cause problems. You know, it's just like, why do they put Section 8 apartments in a nice neighborhood? Well, they do it because they know it's going to cause problems. And then they can come in with problem, reaction, solution. So that's all they're doing with the truck driving industry right now. And so you got everybody, oh, the Pajits. I remember when, oh, the Russians, oh, the Ukrainians, oh, the Lithuanians. And there's, I agree, right? But when you bring all these shitheads together from all these different countries, white Americans and black Americans included, because they are very similar to each other on because they're Americanized. At the end of the day, they're all fucking pieces of shit, fucking over their drivers, trying to scam the system, and it's set up for failure. It's set up so there are people. It's the end justifies the means. They don't care if 1 or 2 children die a year in accidents. It benefits them. We got to change the system and how it's set up, and everything else can be sorted out after that. But when they set up a system for people that come, you got to realize, if you're coming from a third fucking world country to here, and things are set up to where, you're kind of in the gray, and then you're in the illegal, and you're back in the gray, people are going to exploit that. But don't think for 2 fucking seconds that the white lily Americans with the, cowboy up stickers are not just as bad as everybody else. It's a different, everybody's cut from a different cloth. So it's a different kind of getting fucked in the ass. And the truck driver, there's so many things that could easily be changed, that could change this industry and make it run correctly and safely. There needs to be laws to protect drivers from all kinds of shit. You shouldn't be allowed to charge a driver to park anywhere. There should be certain laws like they have for the police and ambulances for truckers. There should be places to where you could buy safe, clean, healthy food and not get fucking ripped off. You go to a truck stop, you can't buy anything healthy, and they're allowed to charge you a 200% to 300% markup on some things. No joke. You're treated like shit. You're treated like a dog, and then they cause all these problems when they're the ones that create them, and no one ever talks about that with anything. There's nothing in our culture, in our system, that doesn't happen unless they want it to happen, and they set the dominoes up to knock them down whenever they want. You pick it. Go out there and do your freedom of speech thing and see what happens if they don't like what you're saying. Arrested for what? Oh, this is freedom of speech. Disorderly conduct. Rioting. You know what I mean? Like, it's a joke. This country and the whole thing and everything in it is a joke. And the reason why people come here is because it's easy to get set up and do things, and they could easily set this place up so it runs like a finely tuned, oiled machine. But if you do that, like I said, I remember when I came here, and I was living somewhere that was really nice, and they were putting in a Section 8 apartment. And I was like, why would they want to put that here? Because you're going to get welfare people and stuff like that. I'm not saying, I'm one of these greaseballs, you know what I mean? I'm not saying, but if you're too stupid to realize, if you live in lollipop land and everything's perfect, or they're busing in inner city kids from the inner city into the nice schools. And I was an inner city kid. I was worse than any black kid you could bring. You bring me into back in the days, you bring me in your school, you're gonna have fucking problems. You're gonna have bad shit happening. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's a black thing, it's white, but this is just an example. If you take a Section 8 apartment and you put it into a really nice area, what do you think is gonna happen? And you think they don't know they're doing that? Same thing with trucking. You bring in people that come from a caste system, and you basically say there's no rules here. You could do whatever you want as long as we don't see what you're doing. Guess what they're gonna do? And like I said, don't think the lily white American people are innocent here. Trucking is fucked, and it starts with people's number one objective in those companies is to get over on the driver and to torture the driver and to beat down the driver. And like I said, if you just gave them enough time to make delivery, things would change drastically. But they want all these problems so they could put cameras facing the driver, so they can fucking do all kinds of more crazy shit and charge. They basically want the truck driving to be done with because they want the country to starve. Don't you realize that in our country, in our sick, twisted, fucking Masonic country, they want no food. They want as many problems as you can. And if the truck driver in the trucking industry is the main thing that delivers everything that we use, attack it. And then you got a utopia for the elites that run the place. They don't have to deal with these problems. We do. So Gypsy Fox, there's a video for you, Jim Rizzoli, and everybody else. Everyone go fuck yourselves. Thank you.